There's an odd phenomena that everyone knows, but no one truly understands it. You are alone, perhaps at night, perhaps after a conversation or before a decision. Your mind begins to think. One thought leads to another thought, which leads to more thoughts. And before you know it, you are no longer thinking about what is, but what could be, what might happen, and what might go wrong. It appears to be intelligence, awareness. But if you pay closer attention, you will realize something different. You are not in charge of your thoughts. Your thoughts are in charge of you. This is what we often call overthinking. But if we look at it more closely, we realize that it's not just thinking too much. It's a psychological and philosophical phenomena. In terms of psychology, this is often related to a rumination. Rumination is not problem solving, it is thinking about the same problem over and over again, but not actually solving anything. Your brain is thinking about a problem, but you are not actually solving it. This is when things get interesting. Your brain, in a very real sense, is not working against you. It's working to protect you. The human brain was designed to sense danger, to anticipate danger, and to assume the worst possible outcome. This is sometimes called the negative bias. Your brain calculates what can go wrong more than what can go right, because historically it was a matter of survival. But the problem is that you are no longer in a jungle where uncertainty is a matter of life and death. But in your mind, uncertainty is a threat. So when you are forced to make a choice, face judgment, or enter an uncertain situation, your mind begins to simulate different possibilities. Your mind begins to imagine different possibilities, and when this simulation becomes excessive, it leads to paralysis. Philosophy has a lot to contribute in this area. Anxiety, according to Kierkegaard, is the dizziness of freedom. What he meant by this is that in addition to being aware of what is, humans are aware of what may be. Animals simply perform their acts, while humans simply think about what they may perform. The fact is, since you have the capacity to imagine many different possibilities, you are confronted with something overwhelming, the burden of making a choice. Each time you choose one course, you are simultaneously rejecting countless others. Your brain rebels against making a choice, against any kind of finality, and instead keeps thinking, what if there's a better way? What if this does not work? What if I regret this? But life doesn't work that way. Reality does not wait for perfect understanding. The more you try to attain certainty through thinking alone, the more you distance yourself from actual living. This brings up a split. On one hand, you have your life happening in real time. On the other hand, you have your life as you think it is, as you analyze it, as you try to understand it, as you try to control it. Overthinking makes this gap bigger. Let's look at another concept that combines philosophy and psychology. Friedrich Nietzsche frequently wrote about the conflict between order and chaos in human nature. Chaos is not merely a disorder, it is also the unknown, the unpredictable, and the uncontrollable. Living means dealing with chaos. However, overthinking seeks to remove chaos even before it begins. It seeks to arrange life so thoroughly that nothing unexpected can occur. But in doing so, we are already moving away from life. Life can't fully be simulated in your mind. There's a cognitive concept called analysis paralysis. When faced with too many options or too much information, your brain struggles to make a decision. Instead of choosing, it delays. It is not that the mind is unable to do something, it is that the mind is overwhelmed. The mind is wired to confuse thinking with progress. But thinking about movement builds tension, often turning into anxiety. Dostoevsky himself has portrayed this phenomena in a very humanistic way. In his novel Nostrum Underground, the central character is overly conscious, extremely self-conscious and introspective about himself and everything around him. He knows too much but does too little. His pain does not result from his lack of awareness, but from his excessive awareness. He is aware of everything, including its contradictions, its different aspects, its different possible meanings, but as a result of this, he becomes unable to simply live. This is the paradox. You think that by thinking more, you will have more control, but in fact the more you think without doing anything about it, the less control you will feel. Control in life doesn't come from being able to predict everything that's going to come out of a situation. Control comes from engaging with what's happening in the situation. But the mind doesn't want to hear this. The mind wants to hold on to the illusion of control rather than the reality. So it puts you in a loop in which nothing is ever decided but in which everything is considered, a loop in which you are mentally exhausted, yet nothing in your life has changed. The most subtle of all these aspects, perhaps, is that overthinking does not have to be loud. It does not have to scream at you from the rooftops. Overthinking can also be quiet. It can look like you are not doing anything, like you're stuck, like you're not going anywhere, even if there's nothing physically stopping you from going anywhere. From the outside, you might look like you're not doing anything, but inside everything is happening at once. If you carefully observe your own mind, you might begin to notice this pattern, not in terms of how to get rid of it, but in terms of how to understand it. The moment you become aware of what your mind is doing, the nature of the problem shifts.